This
recording just now.
conference will now be recorded.
All right, so let's jump to what is, Tosca. And Tosca is a Tricentis tool, which is Tricentis is a leader in test automation. Okay, so Tricentis Tosca is one-stop shop. It provides you the tools to perform, you know, uh, GUI testing, non-GUI testing, and it supports, 200 plus technologies for automation. And we have also, we have also support to the API testing, database testing, and so on. We can also You can also see on the picture that we have, support to desktop, SAP applications, databases, mobile API, Salesforce, and others. So I couldn't, capture all the technologies here. So, but as we see that Tosca is, it supports 200 plus technologies for automation. Maybe you can say any legacy technologies from like you can say mainframe automation is also possible, or you can say from the latest technologies like React or Angular, right, which are web-based technologies, has also been supported. So, what is the best feature of this tool? It's because the best feature of this tool and why it is in demand because it has a low code, no code approach. Basically, it doesn't have any code to automate test cases like we do with other open source medium like Selenium. We do it with scripting using C Sharp or Java, right? But here in Tosca, we don't need any of such. So which is why it is called as low code and no code tool, scriptless tool basically. And when we say it a scriptless, what we will be doing exactly, how we will create test cases, that will be a question to in your mind. So we use a model based. So basically, Tosca is a model based test approach tool. Okay, so all the screens or whatever scripts that we create in Tosca is according to the modules. So that is the terminology of Tosca. Which is module, and model based test approach is a standard, a kind of test approach we have in a particular in a standard format for test automation. So going forward, it also has load testing with Tricentis Flood or other tools like Neoload, and it can integrate with the performance tools to execute your performance testing. We also have record and simulate services with Tosca orchestrated service virtualization, which is a feature of Tricentis Tosca available in order to, test the service virtualization, or you can create your own service virtualization to test your services. Then we have here a feature called Tosca BI, which is now named as Tosca DI, Tosca Data Integrity, which is basically testing all the data warehouses or ETL testing will be performed with the help of Tosca DI. So it has lots of features like it can connect to the databases from source and target, and also do all the vital checks and preliminary tests for the data which is required. In the end, if you see that the last point is unattended execution, which is dex unattended execution, let me tell you that when we want to execute our test cases on any different machines or remote machines, but without any human intervention, so basically they will be connected with remote desktop, and they will get executed in a distributed manner where we can connect as much as agents, which are basically the machines, to perform our executions. And then it also supports or integrates with CI, which is continuous integration. We have lots of tools in market like Tosca CI. Jenkins is one of the CI tool which is popular and in open source as well. And then we have Azure DevOps and Travis CI, then Bamboo. So these are the CI tools which can be integrated with Tosca um, very easily. So yeah, so this is all about like Tosca, a small brief about it. Any questions so far?
Is Tosca is a free tool or it's a pay commercial?
Yep, it's a good question. So Tosca is basically a commercial tool. It's a license-based tool, and a license is like its cost when we it's it's kind of a highly cost license we get for Tosca, but it supports the three types of licenses. Like you can connect to the cloud license, which is hosted by Tricentis. Then you can also have your on-premise server, license server, which can be installed in your organization or any in your premises. And then the third type is the node lock, which is basically um, attached to that particular device. So when we say a node lock, which is a machine specific, so it get installed in the machine, that particular machine, and you will be able to use it. So yeah.
Yeah. Here performs GUI means it's a browser-based content only we can test, right? Like
It can
what we can do with
perform.
Selenium.
Yes, perform GUI means UI testing. Basically, we can perform any type of UI testing with desktop applications, or is it a web application? For non-GUI test is basically the APIs. API doesn't have any user interface, right? Or web services when we say. So these are non-GUI tests. Also, the database comes into that. So these are the non-GUI test, and the GUI test is basically performing all the UI test, or you can say on the screen.
Also, you mentioned like by using this, we can perform the load testing. How we can perform this load test?
So load testing is basically we have a tool called Tricentis Load.
Okay, okay,
Load is a performance tool which can be integrated. The test will be integrated
okay,
in Tosca.
okay, okay, okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So let me move to the next screen. I guess we are good here. So when we come to the Tosca workspace, let me first, you know, show you what is Tosca Commander and how it looks like, right? So let me just close this Tosca. I've already opened it. So when we install Tosca, we simply search for Tosca Commander, which is installed in our machine, and it opens up the Tosca Commander like this. So as you see, there's open and create new. These are the two options. Basically, it 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 is asking you to create a workspace within the Tosca. So this is Tosca workspace. When you click on the project, you see different options which can be configured for Tosca workspace settings. These are the different configurations like settings and options. Here you can see the settings page that needs to be configured if you have any type of particular settings you want to make. So here, these are the settings, and these are the workspaces. You can see one after another. So let me create a new workspace, and I'll tell you about what is a workspace. So if I click on create new workspace, the first thing it asks me is to select the type of repository. Okay, so the type of repository is nothing but we can say it creates a single user workspace. Single user workspace means only this machine is able to you can when you create workspace or the test cases or anything, any artifact, this won't be shared with other people, other teammates. It will be only accessible to you by this machine. That's the single user workspace. And when we create a multi-user workspace is basic nothing but the term itself says it's a multi-user. So all the team members who are sharing in the same project will be able to access this workspace and will be sharing all the artifacts together. Okay, so the type of multi-user workspace that Tosca supports basically is SQLite, Oracle, MS SQL Server, and DB2. So these are the only databases which is supported for creating a multi-user workspace with the Tosca command. And you see here, right? This is a checkbox: use existing repository. It needs to be unchecked when you create the first time. Okay, so whenever you create the first time for the project, you can just uncheck this and fill the details like the select name of the repository, for example, Tosca training, and then it will create the workspace in this particular folder. So all the Tosca projects in the Tosca workspaces, you will find all these workspaces there. Then you can use workspace template. Basically, it is importing a standard subset which is required in Tosca, which gives you a standard tools to perform your testing. So when you create this, this is you get this option OK, and when you hit this, it starts creating. But I won't be creating any workspace as of now. As I will create just a single user workspace for you. And you can see there is one more option which has started being given to create admin user. So this option, this feature has been introduced since Tosca 15.2, I guess, because I'm using the Tosca 15.2 version. The latest Tosca version is Tosca 2023.1, and this is also kind of, you can say, a 6 months old release, because Tosca releases their versions, the major releases happens in every 4 months. So you will get to know, all the details in the support portal. Now you can also create an admin user starting from when we want to set any kind of password. But if you don't use this option, for example, you just don't uh, opt for it, it will automatically create an admin user which will have no password. So it is a blank password for you. Okay, so every workspace, mostly SQLite, will be created in the folder level. So it's a folder based. It will be created in a path. And if we select kind of MS SQL Server or the database like Oracle, DB2, we will have a connection string that has to be given here and then test the connection. So you can see what is the connection string is basically the address, the server address, your database name, user ID, and the password. Okay. So let me, you know, just create a single user workspace for you. Oscar training, use workspace template. All right. So here are we into the Tosca workspace. So you can see on the top, the header, the Tosca commander, and the paths to your workspace with the extension .tws. .tws is nothing but Tosca workspace. Okay. Now you can see here there are the sections named as test cases, modules, requirements, test case design, execution, issues, configurations, test planning. So these are the sections where we have to work out, where we create our test cases. The test case section is mainly for creating the test cases and the steps. The module section is very important. That's where we scan our modules, basically scanning the web pages and the applications, and identifying the elements and creating a modules out of it. Then we have a requirements. Requirements is nothing but we track all the requirements from for the particular test cases or the scenarios, right? For example, if we have some Jira stories, and those stories have linked up some test cases, right? And we have to um, track the requirements traceability. So how are we going to track them? So how are we going to weight them? Which requirement is needed to be tested first, or it's what is the priority? So all these things can be managed in the requirements section. Then we go to the test case design. Test case design section is nothing but you create test sheets, and this section is basically where you design your test cases with the help of templates. Okay, so templates is nothing but when we create a particular template, and that has to be used, or you can say reused for other test cases, but we need to pass different sets of combinations of data. At that moment, we use test case design. Here, in this case, test case design, we create test sheets, and in the test sheets, we give all the values that need to be passed from the test for the test cases or the test steps which we're going to run. So this is the test case design section. Then we have execution section where all the execution happens, right? So execution is nothing but execution section has a very important role where you can define the configurations for your executions, also create your execution list which can be which stored the logs. So you can see that log info, all the test cases which will be executed will be stored here, and you can also track your logs, past logs, and the present logs as well. And this section is also when you integrate with any CI tool or any tool, all the test cases which you create you want to execute is executed via the execution list. You can also extract reports from the execution list by just right clicking and print report to execution. Now, the next section is the issues. This is basically used for integration with Jira. Whenever you have any Jira integration with Tosca Connect, you can use these issues, and this actually, tracks your bugs. So you can create a Jira incident or Jira bug from the Tosca itself when you have the Tosca Jira integration with Tosca Connect. Then we have configurations. Here we define all the configurations that we need to be passed. We might have, for a particular test suite, we might have to, execute in three different environments or different browsers, right? So in that case, we have to set some type of configurations so that we can execute a single execution list with multiple configurations, right? Or we have sometimes, some configuration settings that needs to be um, done while we execute the test cases. So here we can maintain the sets of configurations just one place, and that can be used with other teams and all the projects across the Tosca repository that we are using. Then this is a test planning. Test planning is basically used with exploratory testing, which is majorly done for a manual testing. Right, when we do a manual testing, we perform the actions on the screen, and those are recorded, and then we can do a test planning from here. So this is not so kind of important and not so widely used features. What I would suggest you all, uh, which is majorly used sections are modules, test case design, and execution. And in the end, if I give is the requirements, the configurations and the requirements. So requirements is the least used section. In many cases, many teams doesn't use it. But in case if you want to have a requirement traceability, you can try to use this. But yeah, the major priority will goes to modules, test cases, test case design, execution, and configurations. Any questions still here? I believe so. No. Okay. Now, on the top, as you can see, this is home, and here we have lots of options. We have project options. Project is nothing but the root project, the workspace. You can see the name of the project is coming as a workspace name, which we gave. And here you can see again these folders are added inside a root project. So you will have one root project, which will be your workspace root project, and then inside that you will have all the sections. You have also a reporting section where you can customize report, or you can prepare the reports for you. In the reports, we also have virtual folders that we will cover in the next sessions, maybe upcoming sessions. We'll talk about detailed you know about the reporting and other folders. So as you can see, this is project, and this is a scratchbook. Scratchbook is nothing but is a dry run whenever we want to execute any test case from the test case section, and we want to see like if it is working or not, right? And in that case, we will use Scratchbook. So this Scratchbook doesn't stores any logs, so that's why we have execution folders, execution list. So that's why we have differences in the execution. There's a Scratchbook, which is a just a dry run for you and doesn't stores any log for your executions. But yeah, execution section has execution list, which stores and saves the execution logs as well as the screenshots if you want, if you have added to take in at the fail steps or something, right? And any configurations you want to pass on. Now, and the third options you can see it's the object. Object is nothing but everything what you see in Tosca workspace, right? So for example, this is a folder, or if I create any particular folder from here, it's a component folder, right? Everything is an object in Tosca. So that's where the object comes in. And if I want to find any object in Tosca workspace, even if it's a multi-user workspace or a single user workspace, right? This is the unique ID it will generate for every object in Tosca. Maybe it's a folder, maybe it's a test step, maybe it's a module or anything. For example, this is a test case, this is a test step. Everything, every object will have a unique ID in Tosca, and it will be unique for sure when you want to search anything. For example, we just went here, right, on this screen, and we want to search this. You can simply jump into this object. So this is the object. You can also search via the node path if you don't want to go with the object ID. It does the same thing. If you go to anywhere on the workspace, you can just click on the object and it will take you to there. So this is the object. Then we have sections. If you get anything, disappear from here, you can come to the project or you can come to the section, which can open the for you. You see this gray out area. This gray out area is basically used for um, a multi-user workspace. So whenever we have a multi-user workspace with you know um, more than one person team, right? It can be anything more than one. So at that moment, you will see these options will be enabled for you if you are into a multi-user workspace. Check in, check out tree, update all. So these options are nothing but when we want to check in. I'll take you through to these options in some time. Uh, so these options are basically for multi-user workspace. As of now, you can just take it on because you won't get any options to check in, check out in a single user workspace. Then you have import and export subsets. Subsets are nothing but the test cases that we create, the test cases or the modules or the executions which we create, right? We can export them or import them from any other workspace into this Tosca workspace using these options. So when you create any component folder, you can import a subset, you can export the subset. For example, you can also export the executions, you can also export the module or test cases you want. And now these options are for exploratory manual test cases and automated recorded test cases. Basically, when we want to record our manual actions on the screen, we can simply start the recording, and when we start clicking on the buttons or anything on the screen, it will try to record the steps and create the steps for you. So any questions till now?
Hi, sir. I have
Yeah,
one
hi.
very basic question.
Uh-huh.
Actually, when means in any project this tool will be used, means
This tool will be used in any project, in a testing project. Okay, so any project which needs test automation. For example,
yes,
they have lots of test cases, in a smoke or in a regression, right? And we have around 300, 500, 1000 test cases. And when we want to automate, why we will automate a test case?
We have other tools also as well, no? So means basically when this tool will be used actually.
See, yeah, correct. Good question. So we have other tools like open source and Selenium, and then we have other tools which are also paid, kind of
Yes.
competitors, you can say, like HP ALM, and then sorry, HPQC. Now it is called Octane, and then we have Catalan, and then we have XLQ, many other test automation tools, right? Why Tosca is because it is a no code. As you can see, I don't see any place where I can write a code, right? And it's simple drag and drop functionalities. If I want to create any test case, for example, and if I want to create any module, it's very easy in Tosca, right? So, for example, I'll show you how we create module in Tosca. We will simply try to scan a demo web shop. This is a web application, right? As you can see, it's a demo application, and we want to, scan this application, like create modules out, right? We can simply click on application. As you can see, there are other different options we have given: API, mobile, PDF, remote terminal, and then we click on more. We can also scan through WebDriver, Salesforce, and file scan. So for in our case, currently we are going to start with application. So this is the scan xscan wizard. As you can see, whenever it opens, it gives you all the screens which is available, and then if you right click on the screen, it shows you other engines, right? So Tosca supposes, as I said, 200 plus technologies, and these technologies are automated with the help of engines. For every technology, there is an engine beside in the Tosca. For example, Java has Java engine, right? For PDF, there's a PDF engine. For HTML, there's a HTML engine, and so on. So we're gonna choose the HTML. When we come here, the scan wizard opens up. As you can see, it has already, you know, read the HTML code behind the application. Now, if I want to choose any all the elements, like I want to check all these links, right? What I can do, there are options, right? Select on screen. Once you select on screen, you can simply go here. Let me just select on screen. And it's very important why I'm getting this issue, right? It's very important that you have this 100%, and the screen resolution should be also 100. Okay, so for example, this div. One moment, let me. Okay, got it. I don't have a license actually. So I don't have a license to create any HTML engine. So license is very important. That's what I'm saying. It is unable to, give you any kind of actions that you cannot make. License is very important. So if I just close this, Hmm. This is because screen resolution. I'm getting an issue. You can see the screen resolution is causing issue. It's very important to have the perfect screen resolution. Let me just check once. Let me share my screen again to the next screen. Okay, got it. Now you can see that we are getting all these links on these places. So whenever we see if we face any issues, right, we are not able to scan, we have to check if the screens are perfectly fine because I'm using two monitors and both have different resolutions. So you can see this is the link basically, and this is a register link, login, shopping cart. Then this is a text box, this is a button, again a text box, subscribe. These are the radio buttons we can scan, right? And then we have this. These are the links. So whatever HTML code is behind this application is basically being scanned, and that's the same thing we do with the help of Selenium code. In Selenium, we have to write a code and find an XPath, right? In Tosca, we don't have to do that. We have to just scan this, and it automatically, gives all the properties which is available for that particular link. You can see on the left hand side on my screen here are the technical properties, which is for every element that is possible. And you have some representation properties like default name and visible equals to true and other thing. We also have XPath. Tosca just also gets the XPath for that particular element, but it is always suggested to not to use XPaths in Tosca because XPaths are tend to change whenever there is any kind of change in the resolution. So your question is why we should use Tosca instead of the coding. Coding takes much efforts and the maintenance is costly. So that's why one can go for a particular tool which is more feasible to create test cases faster and also easier to maintain the code. So basically this is not something like simply you can, for example, if I take this, if I see it is not unique, you have to be unique. It has to be unique for Tosca to understand that yes, this is the correct element I have to go for. And if you see this is something not unique, why? Because it has to be with the properties we have to check, right? So we take this property, okay, now it's unique. And when we save this module, you can also go to the next application, next page, or you can just simply close this. Once you close it, you see the module is created for you for the page, right? And this is the screenshot of the page which you actually scanned. So And these are the module properties on the left hand side. You can see you can also manipulate them anytime you want. And just extend this part. You can see this is the HTML engine which has been used. We have taken inner text for this link. For this also login is the inner text and other stuff. This is a type button or text box. You can see business type box, text box, and this is a radio button, right? This is normal button and it has an ID. You can also put a star over here just to manipulate things, right? Just to make it more custom for you. And when we want to turn this module into a test case, it's a simple job that we just drag and drop in the test case folder. It will create a test case for you. You can name it anything. For example, we'll just name it as test case one. And you see the first step is automatically created, which is nothing but the module. And now here you can simply perform your actions. You want to click, right click, or just mouse over on that particular link. Also, you can verify the link if it's present or not, and the inner text and everything. So these are the properties which is available. You can choose for, and then there are action modes which helps you to perform that action. For example, if you want to click, you can put input. If you want to verify something, you can use verify. And if you want to buffer something means is like saving that particular value in a particular variable, then you can use buffer. And then we have wait on to wait implicitly. Then we have select and then constraint. So every action mode has its own feature which can be explained in the upcoming sessions. Any questions here?
No, sir.
Okay, so when we go to any module, right? So what is a toolbar, context menu, and all this stuff? And you see this is the property section, right? On the left hand side, this is the working pane where you actually work, and this is nothing but a menu pane. Okay, so menu means it will give you a tree like structures of everything which is under this tree, under the module or any folder you open. All right, and for the properties you have to see in the left side for even in the test case or in the modules or anywhere. Now when we have, this is the context menu. So you can find lots of things. You can create folders, you can create folder structure, virtual folders, and configuration parameters, and many stuff, right? You can also search the elements. So this is a context menu, mini toolbar. This is mini toolbar where you have other options to perform. So if you want to scan anything, it will be only enabled on the modules folder. So you will see the scan option, right? And then you can see other options too once you click on scan. Now on the test cases section, the menus are slightly changed. You will see different menus here. There's a test case folder. You can create test cases. You can create business test cases, which is not executed, but just to do the requirements traceability. Then we have a libraries, and we have furthermore recovery scenarios and other stuff. So all these sections have their own context menu and their context options which you can explore while um, start with any Tosca training or Tosca courses yourself. It will be that's where how you have to use and perform or create your test cases. So in the execution section, as you can see, there are different stuff. You can create execution list, you can create just configuration parameter, you can also attach files for any purpose. And then in configurations you have different things. So these are the context menus which is helpful you in order to perform if in order to create use any kind of feature that you want to. All right, now we go to the settings. Before that, let me just take you to the standard modules. I'll give you an overview. Standard modules are nothing but, you know, the Tosca provides you a standard subset for performing basic operations. Basic operations like, I would say, for example, the page that we opened, right? This page, we already opened it and manually. But how you can open it with the help of Tosca? So we have, that option in HTML engine where you have a standard subset called open URL. Okay, so when you simply drag and drop this open URL step, this is basically creating a step, uh, and you can just also, adjust the places, the position of the test steps, how you want to execute them. So the first step I have added as open URL module, which is a standard module available from Tosca X engines, and you can see in front of me, there are lots of engines that is already provided. These are all standard subsets. Like for example, in database, you can see connecting the database, then running the SQL statements, and then verifying the results from the table. Then we have Excel engines where you can perform Excel related uh, actions, right? For like for an example, open the Excel, then defining the particular range of the sheet. Then in the manipulation, basically you try to check, verify your test scenarios. Then you have also tbox excel one-to-one file compare, where you can compare all two excel files. So these are the engine specific standard subset. And we have some automation, tbox automation tools in means is a basic operations which are not specific to any technologies. Okay, so like it would be kind of a taking a tree box screenshot, like it's a screenshot you want to take in the middle of the test cases, in the middle of the test steps. So you can add this module to take the screenshot for you. Then you have T-box window operations, where you want to bring the window in front. You can use this standard module. You have T-box save as, basically whenever we want to save anything in a windows, in a machine, right? So we get a save as pop-up that can also be handled with this module, which is automatically saves the file for you. Then we have buffer operations and file operations. For example, we want to check any file if it is present in the directory. Then we want to compare the file, copy the contents, read and create a new file in the automation itself can be also be possible. Then we have process operations, like we want to start any application from the Tosca itself. You can use tbox start program in that case. So these are the standard modules which is supplied by Tricentis Tosca in order to smooth your automation journey, and use these as kind of get helpers, or you can say stubs and drivers in Selenium way, that can be help that helps you to automate your desired objective. And then we have something like tbox wait. Tbox wait is simply when you want to wait for a particular time. For example, you want to wait for 1 minute 30 seconds or 5 seconds, or anything which you want to wait for specific time. You can just give the duration in milliseconds. For example, for 5 seconds you will give 5,000. So in Tosca is basically, having the time counts in milliseconds. So remember that. Any questions here? So now I have used this module, as I said, that open URL. I want to open this particular Tricentis web shop URL, copy this, and I can simply paste it. And the first thing what I can do is click on the register. Also, we're gonna check if the login link is visible or not with the help of verify button. Let's see how it works. So I'm running in Scratchbook. Whenever you run a test case in a Scratchbook, it will start running. Clicked on register because our next step was after opening the URL, I want to click on the register and check whether this login button is present or not. Down you can see on the screen, I have a visualization screen, which is a progress visualization, which is progress bar. It shows you the time and give you the results like this. So it failed. Let us see why it failed. I did it purposely, actually. The browser was not ready after 3000 seconds. 30,000 seconds, please refer to the setting, T-box synchronization parameter or the test configuration parameter. Yeah. So I wanted to bring your attention to this. Basically, what we have to do is when we jump to the module and we see demo web shop is the title here, right? And when we go here and when I clicked on register, this is a register page. As you can see, registration form has opened. The caption is changed here, demo web shop, then we have register. Now, in this case, what we have to do is we are using the same module, right? We don't have to use a different module for a register page. So we can simply give a star here with the demo web shop, or you can also give star after the demo. Star is nothing but a wildcard. Okay. Wildcard, which star means anything which comes after demo is okay for this module to identify. And then it said something called in a scratchbook, it said something called, the browser was not ready after 30,000 milliseconds. Please refer to the setting, T-box synchronization timeout, or the test configuration parameter. So what test configuration parameters settings I have showed you right here in the project. You can go to the T-box settings, but the same thing can be used in this test configuration parameter here by giving the configuration parameter like synchronization timeout. Here you can see, and you can provide a value. For example, it waited for 30,000 seconds. We can make it to 40,000 here. Okay, it overrides. And then we have to give one more parameter. Why? Because previously I didn't give a browser parameter and my default browser is Chrome, that's why it opened. But we have to provide a browser parameter where you can choose any of the browsers that you want to execute. For example, in our case we will use Chrome. If you want to use Edge, you can use Edge, but make sure you have the extension installed. This is the Tricentis automation extension. As you can see, I've already added, right? Which needs to be uh, added whenever you are executing your text cases. So this is very important. And even if you don't, if you forget it, whenever you scan any application on that particular browser, it will automatically pop up for you that you need an extension for it. So it will take you to download the extension and it will download it in your Chrome browser or any of the browser you want to use, and then you're good to go. Now, if I want to pass this URL into the from the configuration parameter, I can do that too. I can create my own configuration parameter. For example, I can just name it as URL and copy this part into this as a value, right? And call this configuration parameter here in the test case. So how I will call it is simply by curly brace CP, which is stands for configuration parameter, and now it will show you all the configuration parameter which is applicable or which has been added on this test case level. So I'm going to use the URL and close this with brackets. So you can see the syntax curly braces CP and then square bracket, the name of the configuration parameter. Then again, we are closing this with the square bracket and the curly brace. Here it is. We can also translate the value. Right click on this particular value and you can see what is the value of this translation. Now we'll run this test case again. Can simply close it because we haven't added the close step yet. It got passed. You see a green color mark in the progress bar, and we see that Scratchbook is giving us the expected results. You can see the start time and the duration of every step which it took, and the verification as expected. Any questions?
No doubts, sir.
Yeah. So I guess we are already time up for today's session. I think we will just quickly recap the session, whatever we covered. We covered like what is Tricentis Tosca as a tool. It is a license-based test automation tool, desktop tool, which can automate with a model-based test approach using a scan functionality. We can scan the application with the engines, right? With it has 200 plus technologies to support, and all the engines are provided in Tosca itself. When we scan the application, it creates a module for us, and with a drag and drop functionality, we can create test cases out of the modules which we scanned. There are some standard modules which are also provided by Tosca, and we can use them in our test automation whenever required. Then we have also understood about the Tosca workspace and its sections, how the menus and options that have been provided can be used, and a little bit overview out of it. And yeah, and we have seen one scenario with running it in a Scratchbook, just opening the web application and clicking and verifying it. So we are able to see just a little glimpse of how exactly Tosca creates test cases for you. Are we good here? Yes or no, maybe.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Then I guess we are good to close for the today's session. If you have any queries, you can let us know, and we will be able to clear them for you offline and provide some details regarding that. Also, you can explore yourself the Tricentis support portal. I can give you the URL of the support portal, which you can see for the documentation required, any documentation you want to go through for Tricentis support. So I have given the chat link. This is a support portal link. You can register yourself and create an account for yourself, and then also enroll into the trainings that has been provided. And uh, you can navigate to the support portal to see all the documentation that has been provided by Tricentis. All right, then. Thank you very much. Thank you all for attending this session. We will see you soon in the next session, maybe. And till then, have a nice day. And bye bye.
Okay, thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you.